We're going to go to business now, and Cole Stangler is joining me here on set. Cole, you're starting with Boeing, aren't you? News of new investigations in the US after the Ethiopian Airlines crash in which 157 people died.
That's right, Stuart. It's now emerged that federal prosecutors in the U.S. launched a criminal inquiry just a day after that crash. According to reports, they're investigating how Boeing was regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration in the United States. Meanwhile, the CEO of the aviation company says they're addressing what he called concerns about the 737 MAX since the crash. Aaron Agunke has the story.
2 tragic accidents later, Boeing's chief executive is finally speaking out. This after a week of near silence, and after countries and airlines around the world grounded 737 MAX planes. CEO Dennis Muilenburg says the company will soon release a software update for the now controversial model. The changes will take into account the concerns discovered in the aftermath of the Lion Air crash last October.
When an accident happens, for any reason, we focus relentlessly to determine why. We're united with our airline customers, international regulators, and government authorities in our efforts to support the most recent investigation, understand the facts of what happened, and help prevent future tragedies.
U.S. prosecutors are looking into the development of Boeing's 737 MAX jetliners, while the Transportation Department is also scrutinizing the Federal Aviation Administration's approval of the planes. The inquiries are expected to raise further questions about how Boeing designed the 737 MAX 8, how pilots are trained to fly it, and what led the U.S. regulatory body to certify the jet's automated safety feature, known as MCAS. On Sunday, Ethiopia's transport minister said black box data revealed clear similarities between the Ethiopian Airlines and Lion Air accidents. The planes, both Boeing 737 MAX 8s, ascended and descended erratically. The pilots struggled to control the aircraft and attempted in vain to return to the airport. Both flights crashed a few minutes after takeoff.
As we've been hearing, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro is in Washington. He's hoping to boost economic ties with the United States during his visit. At the top of the list, an agreement that would allow the U.S. to launch rockets into space from Brazil's Alcântara Launch Center without sharing U.S. intellectual property. Another initiative that both sides are expected to approve, the creation of a $100 million fund for small businesses in the Amazon region. Finally, Brazil is pushing to join the OECD, the Economic Policy Organization. That, however, is not expected to get the green light from Washington, at least not right now.
Brief update with the markets then, Cole. What's the latest on them?
Markets across Asia are down slightly. Japan's Nikkei index falling nearly 0.1%. Investors are looking ahead to the Federal Reserve's meeting over the next couple of days. The U.S. Central Bank expected to keep its interest rates unchanged after raising rates 4 times last year. Euro, meanwhile, is trading at about $1.13 and about 85 pence sterling.
Now, the Italian airline ALITALIA is facing rather an uncertain future.
British budget carrier EasyJet has pulled out of talks to rescue ALITALIA. That's 2 weeks before a critical deadline. The Italian company went into administration in 2017 and has been propped up by the government since. EasyJet was part of a consortium with Delta Airlines and the country's public rail company that was slated to present a rescue plan to the Italian government by the end of the month. ALITALIA needs that plan in place to repay a €900 million government loan by the end of June.
And finally, I'm quite surprised by this next story, in fact. There is a new ranking of the world's most expensive cities, and it's something that both Cole and I in particular can relate to this, isn't it?
So that's right. Paris is tied for #1, along with Hong Kong and Singapore. It's according to the annual Economist Intelligence Unit survey, which compares prices in 133 cities around the world. The costs of personal care, recreation, and entertainment all run especially high in the French capital. A woman's haircut, for example, will run you just over €100 in Paris. That's more than twice the price in Osaka, Japan. On the other hand, alcohol and tobacco are relatively cheaper here in Paris, so news is not entirely negative, depending on what you're into.
Yeah, exactly. I'm quite surprised. I'm amazed that it's London isn't even in the top 10, and coming from the UK originally. Anyway, I would have thought London would be there, but obviously
New York could be up there too. You think?
New York, yeah, New York isn't in there either. Oh well, it's very expensive here, but very lovely. So if you are if you've never been to see us here in Paris, it's well worth a visit. Thank you very much, Cole Stangler, with Business here on France 24. More news coming up for you very shortly.